Welcome back to Comment with me, George Galloway, here on Press TV, still the voice of the voiceless. We're talking about the murderous attack on the Iranian Embassy in Beirut yesterday, which killed and maimed perhaps hundreds of people. We're asking how your country condemned the attacks. Quietly, probably, if at all, and certainly not in the language and with the volume that they would have if the subject or object of the attacks had been, say, an American or British or French embassy in the region. And I'm extending or arguing the potential theory that the provocation of this attack on the Iranian embassy in Beirut was connected to today's talks in Geneva, because they are very worried that Iran will satisfy international public opinion that their peaceful nuclear program is no danger to anyone. And the Western countries, especially France, don't want to take yes for an answer. And so the Al-Qaeda-sponsored, armed and buttressed terrorist elements that are operating in Syria in plain view, in plain sight, not hidden at all, carried out this dastardly attack in Beirut. It's just a theory, but it seems to me to have some plausibility. Let's hear from a young man of 14 years whose wisdom would shame many a man 2 or 3 times his age. Robert in Scotland. Go ahead, Robert.
Good evening, George.
Good evening to you, sir.
Personally, I'm ashamed that our government, which has condemned every single terrorist attack against the West and Israel, is refusing to condemn or even say a word about this atrocity. But why would they? These are exactly the same people that we are bankrolling and supplying that murdered these people in what was a merciless, cowardly and unjustified attack on another country's embassy. In my opinion, these Al-Qaeda fanatics carried out this attack to get at Iran and Hezbollah. I think they intended for Iran's talks with the West to derail so badly and for something to go so horribly wrong that it would cut off Iran's support for Hezbollah, and that would give them an advantage over Hezbollah and Iran in the war in Syria. And I agree with you, if this attack was carried out by 2 Lebanese Sunnis, it would mean that the violent horror of the sectarian hatred and war, brother against brother, has spilled over from Syria, and that Lebanon may fall into just as bloody a battle as Syria has.
Extraordinary. Robert in Scotland, the most precocious, the wisest, the most militant 14-year-old in the country. The most precocious since, well, I was 14, if I may say so. Alex is in London.